Alright, this is the new Apple Watch Series 10, and this is my new Apple Watch Ultra 2, which I've been using for a couple of months now. And to my surprise, Series 10 actually seems to be really good on its own way. So in this video, we're gonna review both of these watches to see all the features as well as differences such as battery life, displays, chipset, design, durability and scratch, so you can gain some understanding which one is the better option for your situation, or is it worth or not upgrading from the previous gens. So that's why firstly, as usual, let's start with unboxing, then design, battery, display, and so on step by step. So I've chosen the 46mm aluminum case, jet black finish with ink sport loop. The original price on Apple Store is $429, but I bought it on Amazon with a discount for $360. And I also purchased separately this slate Milanese loop. I think that's gonna be the beautiful combo. But regarding the watch itself, there were some rumors about new round design, about significant change, but it didn't occur, unlike everything else here. At least we got here this 1 meter basic charger to USB-C braided cable, and this is it, nothing else. Nevertheless, this is the thinnest watch in Apple's history, and that's great. So there are polished aluminum and polished titanium versions available, and we got here polished aluminum jet black. So the last time when we saw something similar was, you're right, in the days of jet black iPhone 7. So the problem was, unfortunately, it scratched very easily, and jet black was the most scratch-prone iPhone in history. We're gonna talk about the durability just in a bit, but other than that, it looks stylish overall. And here's the no less stylish band, nothing fancy here, just a dark one, and probably one of the most pleasant base bands currently available in the Apple lineup, because it's nice to the touch, very comfortable to use, durable, and it doesn't get dirty as quickly as all of those silicone stuff. But when I saw the render of this stainless steel slate Milanese loop, and it looked very sleek to me. It's a bit pricey. If you buy it separately, it is $100, but if you choose it instead of some basic band, then it is just an extra $50. There's a magnetic closure, feels pretty strong at first glance, but I'm not quite sure for exercise. It might start to come loose when swimming or biking. Alright, Series 10, the thinnest Apple Watch, jet black polished finish. Listen, it's actually pretty cool, and here it's even hard to tell whether it's steel or not, or if it's Series 10 or what exactly it is. I like it. It definitely looks very beautiful and stylish, especially with this slate Milanese loop. But the main thing here is the watch now have a larger display and have generally become bigger. If the previous generations were sold in sizes of 41mm and 45, and before that 40 and 44mm, and even earlier 38 and 42mm, now the small one is 42mm and the bigger one is 46mm. It might seem like the difference between 45 and 46mm is not that much, but this 46mm is even slightly bigger than the Ultra, which is actually 49mm. Though when comparing them side by side, they seem pretty much the same. And here's the Watch SE 2nd Gen 44mm midnight finish, and this is jet black finish. Alright, now the Apple Watch Ultra 2 49mm black titanium, and it's not just a black titanium, but with the black titanium Milanese loop to perfectly match the watch. To me, it's the best combo out of all bands and loops, and take a look. It's still the same eco-friendly paper, but now it is dark, and it all gives off the impression that something really nice is packed inside. In the box, you get this sort of booklet, so you definitely feel some sort of premium vibe, but the rest looks identical to the previous gen. Here we have this shameful basic braided charger. They could have made it color matched like black one, because everything here tells us it's something like a custom device. And the watch itself, by the way, unlike the glossy polished titanium version in the Series 10, here we have the titanium texture itself. It's like natural, meaning it should be complete matte. And yeah, it's matte, it's black, and you know, it's more kind of feels like deep dark space gray. However, similar to the Black 16 Pro and MacBook Pro, or maybe a bit darker, all of them have a little bit different tones. Here there's a digital crown, an action button, everything seems stylish and premium, especially with the orange accents, looks sick. And of course we gotta look at how it's gonna match with this black titanium look. So it's packed quite well. If you buy it separately, it is $200, but if you choose it instead of some basic band, then it is an extra $100 on top of your Watch Ultra price tag. And yeah, this thing, it's all black, made of titanium. It is so bananas lightweight, 33 grams, lighter and obviously more durable than this aluminum slate. And it has, by the way, the parachute style buckle with dual side release buttons that close with audible click. And because of that new tricky approach, of course the it's more suitable for various extreme sports and other activities that people generally buy the Apple Watch Ultra for. And despite the fact that magnets are really strong here, I feel like that is not as secure like with this Ultra loop. So if you're climbing mountains, running, swimming, it feels like this bad boy is way to go. And on top of that, it's super lightweight and quite reliable. We open this little thing up in order to move it either way to make bigger or smaller to fit your wrist. And this is it. And here with the Series 10 band, it's just the magnets. So overall, yeah, I really like it. Very interesting solution. And if you wonder, can you fit the Ultra band in the 46mm watch or vice versa? Yep, all bands are cross-compatible. So at the end of the day, these are the latest Apple Watches available today. Couple words of what's new here with the Series 10. Whole 10 years have passed, 10-year anniversary, and of course all of us were looking forward that in this generation Series 10 would surprise us with something like new, but there's nothing like crazy new. Series 8, Series 9, Series 10, it's kind of basically the same. But as usual, Apple claims it's a whole new design, and we all know, right? It's the same as always. Like new iPhones, like new mini iPads, etc. But actually, on the other hand, yeah, they of course put some effort, a bigger wide-angle display, thinner case, a speaker, sort of new chip, etc. Everything kind of stylish. The display size is like on the Watch Ultra, even bigger. For the first time, a titanium finish, which is actually a nice welcome addition. And of course, Ultra 2. I think many people were quite disappointed about there not being an Ultra 3 announcement, so they opted to keep selling the same Ultra 2 for another year. The only update is they just added a new satin black color. So first up is the pricing. Series 10 is obviously more affordable than the Ultra 2. It starts at just $400. That's just basic by default GPS only with aluminum case. But you can now pay for the polished titanium case, which costs a boatload more. That's gonna be literally the same $800 as the Ultra 2. I couldn't actually tell it's titanium, it looks super glossy. There are 3 finishes to choose from: natural, gold and slate, which is sort of black, dark color. All of them look pretty nice actually, I like it. Both of the watch designs include a number of different watch bands at their base price point, but I would suggest getting the Milanese loop. This combo looks excellent to me, but if you get an extra coin, it would be way nicer getting a link bracelet, very beautiful and comfy. It's just a top of the top, but it turns out even more expensive than the Ultra 2, which reflects its durability, the battery life and all of that, which we're gonna talk about just in a bit. Now, all editions of the Ultra 2 include cellular built into the watch. You cannot buy without cellular versus Series 10. The basic one doesn't include cellular. You gotta add for that extra $100. However, the titanium edition of the Series 10 does include cellular built in. There's no option to get without cellular. Design. Design is the key point because that's the main difference and one of the biggest selling points between both watches. For some people, this might look like an ankle monitor. It's just between those differences which one you should get in the type of person you are. It's about how active you are, and if you want more manly versus elegant, flat screen versus wide angle, kind of rounded screen, they're both badass, both great watches. The Series 10 has a slicker and thinner design, looks very elegant. It's, like I said, the thinnest Apple Watch that Apple has ever made. It's only 9.7mm versus 14.4mm for the Ultra 2. Definitely, that's a big difference. That's 50% bigger for the Ultra 2. And that's really gonna come down to whether or not you want a bigger watch on your wrist. 46mm Series 10 has a tiny bit large display than the Ultra 2, but you won't notice it. In the meantime, Ultra 2, which is 49mm, has a very distinctive, much more kind of bulkier design. There's not trying to be slick or sophisticated. It's got a very different approach, kind of G-Shockish approach, a rugged design that comes in this beautiful new black casing that just looks incredible. It comes only in one material, which is titanium, compared to the Series 10, which you can buy it in a more affordable aluminum version as well. Series 10 cases are made with 100 recycled aluminum or 95% recycled titanium, as well as every Ultra 2 case is also made with 95% recycled grade 5 titanium. Series 10 with the aluminum loop is 71 gram and Ultra 2 is 94 grams. But you know, I don't feel either of them on my wrist. I'm used to my regular classic watch, which is 150 grams. Another interesting point, I thought I would notice the Ultra 2 much more than the Series 10 during sleep at night. Oddly, I don't notice a difference, which is impossible as it's twice as big. I've worn both just to get an idea if I notice it, and I don't So let's look a little more closely at the exterior aspects of this watch, because there are some pretty obvious differences. Starting off with the Ultra 2, there is an orange action button. I really like it. You don't get it on the Series 10. We'll get into that in just a second. On the right hand side, you'll notice that the button layout is a bit different there in terms of size of the buttons and how they're protected in the case of Ultra 2. It has button guards around both the main button as well as a digital crown that might protect it from anything. And then you'll notice that the Ultra 2 has a much larger digital crown. I mean, look at the difference. It's like almost twice as big. Really cool. Which is useful for glove interaction. So if you're underwater with scuba gloves or just, winter skiing and stuff like that with bigger gloves, it does make it a little bit easier to kind of navigate through the menus with that bigger digital crown. As well as the display section on the Ultra 2 sticks out compared to the Series 10. And then on the side here, you can see the Ultra 2 has bigger speaker grills, which of course will do some sound test comparison. On both of these, you can play music or listen to some podcasts or your audio messages through the speakers. It's pretty cool. And regarding the action button, which is a button that Series 10 doesn't have, it's a customizable button that allows you to tap that and open various actions that are basically quick select options directly to certain things. You can make it do whatever you'd like. Start a workout, or specific app can open, or any other actions or third-party apps. There's a lot of different use cases that the action button does. It's similar to the action button on the iPhone, that you can make it do whatever you want. By default, for example, it opens up the workout app. But I would say it's not that much big of a deal. You can create a series shortcut to start a workout on the Series 10. You push the crown and say going for a walk, and it starts an outside walk. This is the way to get around not having an action button. By the way, both of these, Watch Ultra 2 and Series 10, have a double tap feature. So what is it? Double tap activates the main button on the current state of the watch. For instance, it picks up an incoming call, plays or pause in the music player, and on the watch face, it opens the widget stacks. If you double tap again, the widgets will scroll down. The back on both of these watches is protected by a ceramic and sapphire crystal composite. This combination is chosen for its durability, scratch resistance, and skin-friendly properties. However, the display itself on the Ultra 2 is protected by just sapphire crystal, not ceramic. And the titanium case model of the Series 10 also got a sapphire crystal on the display. But unfortunately, the aluminum case model, which I have right now, has Ion X glass on the display, which is nowhere near as strong as the sapphire crystal. It is less scratch resistant, it is less durable, but it's a bit lighter than the sapphire crystal. You can only get the jet black, silver, and rose color with the Ion X glass. If you want the sapphire, you gotta get a titanium case model. Since we've touched on the topic of the display, then let's go ahead and talk about that. The display of the Series 10 now has a new wide-angle OLED display that reached the same 2000 nits of brightness like on the Series 9. What a wide-angle OLED display means is basically you can view the watch in a lot more different angles. On the other hand, the Apple Watch Ultra 2 doesn't have a wide-angle display, which is nice. The flat screen might lean people towards the Ultra 2 as the screen is better protected, as well as the raised rim around adds extra protection. And also, one thing I did notice between the two is just how much glare and reflections you get on the curved edges on the sides of the Watch 10 compared to the Ultra 2's flat screen. So my take is the flat display of the Ultra looks superior in this respect, and in fact it's easier to view, especially when outside. Additionally, I found that the flat display looks more fresh and more modern compared to the curved one. So moving ahead, the Ultra 2 is also way brighter than the Series 10. And as a matter of fact, it reached the highest brightness ever on Apple product. It reached 3000 nits of brightness, which is absurd on how bright it gets. Let's be honest, both of those nit brightnesses are well beyond overkill for even the brightest sunny days out there. I haven't experienced brightness issues. They're both overkill. Many of their competitors have 1000 nits displays, which are perfectly fine. And side by side now, turning on the flashlights, you can see that the Ultra 2 is definitely brighter. But from an angle, the Series 10 looks very bright. Both the Ultra 2 and the Series 10 have a minimum display brightness of 1 nit. So that's mainly used at night to kind of reduce the display brightness. Another interesting fact is that the Apple Watch Series 10 actually has a slightly larger display area, particularly in active working space, than the Watch Ultra 2. It is just small 3% though, which you're definitely not gonna notice. And also the Ultra 2 has a slightly older LTPO2 OLED always-on Retina display, versus the Series 10 has a new LTPO3 OLED always-on Retina display. The main difference there is theoretically the off-angle axis viewing that we've just discussed. It is, by the way, 40% brighter when viewed at an angle compared to the previous gens. So yeah, now it's got that curved glass edges around it, while the Ultra 2 is completely flat across the top. And the titanium bezels around the outside edge protect the display. The cool thing with the Series 10 is that it now gets a depth sensor as well as the water temperature sensor, just like you get with the Ultra 2, so that's pretty cool that we get that. Both Apple Watch are obviously water resistant, but the Watch Ultra 2 has water protection down to 100 meters, making it suitable for diving. You can obviously use the Series 10 for diving as well, but it can only reach up to 50 meters of depth. So both of these watches have depth gauge, but they're quite different in their specs and implementations and things like that. The Ultra 2 has a depth gauge, as you might know, that's certified for scuba diving to ensure the safety of all the things around it. It can measure water depth up to 40 meters, while the Series 10 also has a certified depth gauge, but it can measure only up to 6 meters, while the Series 10 is designed for snorkeling, shallow diving, and playing in the water. The sensors themselves haven't changed. Yes, Apple did add some new features like sleep apnea detection, but that actually came to the Series 9 as well as the Ultra 2. They all have sleep apnea. If you want to buy an Apple Watch for health and fitness, both Apple Watch will be amazing for that. Both models are equipped with ECG. Another thing is common across both watches. There's still no blood oxygen monitoring on models sold in the US, but the rest of the world has the sensor turned on. And as far as I know, the hardware, the sensor itself, still in the watch. But the feature has been disabled for some time due to ongoing legal issue between Apple and Massimo, which accused the tech giant of infringing on its patent. Something that the Ultra 2 has is what they call precision dual frequency GPS, which basically means they'll do better in harder GPS conditions. It'll give you more accurate navigation, things up against a mountain or stuff like that, or high buildings, etc., which is especially useful for adventurers or athletes. And more in terms of features, again, Ultra 2 has its 86 decibel emergency siren. Series 10 doesn't have it. This is so loud. So it's basically a siren will sound just in case you're in an emergency situation in the middle of the forest and you want someone to listen to you. This thing will get so incredibly loud. Another biggest difference between the two is the documented temperature range the watch works in. 0 to 35 Celsius degrees for the Series 10 are a really small window you can quite easily exceed, while the Ultra 2 is quite better, minus 20 to 55 Celsius degrees. Obviously, for adventure situation, the battery life is also a very big deal on both devices. The downside with the Series 10 compared to the Ultra is that you basically get half as much. Apple rates the Ultra 2 at 36 hours of battery life compared to 18 on the Series 10. And the really cool difference is not a lot of people talk about is that you actually have less charging cycles with the Ultras because you charge them less often. The battery health actually lasts a bit longer, so you can keep it for many more years compared to the regular models. That sometimes the battery just kind of goes bad pretty quickly. That's a cool difference. So here's my practical experience. I fully charged this Watch 10 in the morning. It's not a cellular version, so it did last one entire day and 10 hours. No low power mode, no nothing, just a normal use, and I had 10% remaining. Being real, it's not bad, quite nice actually. Whereas on the Ultra 2, I also fully charged it on Sunday morning at 10 AM and I ended up using it for a whole exactly 3 freaking days on a single charge. That's just insane. And still I had 10% battery life remaining. No low power mode was used, just basic notifications, exercising in the morning. And don't forget, I do have the cellular activated as well. And the bigger battery helps quite a bit. It is nuts how nice it is. It's apparently a larger watch, and even with those 3000 nits of brightness, the battery life lasting you so much is amazing. And that's one of the best things about the Ultra. And of course, not to mention in terms of fitness or health tracking, I think if you're really serious about health tracking, about fitness, you probably want a watch not to die on you in the middle of a race or a triathlon or things like that. Of course, there's also a low power mode on both watches, getting you 72 hours for the Ultra or 36 hours for the Series 10. And I think with that low power mode, Ultra 2 could reach 5 to 6 days easily. Low power mode basically just shuts off a bunch of stuff, background things, behind the scenes, but the core of the watch is still what you would expect. And you know, Yeah, unfortunately they didn't improve the battery on the Series 10. However, the area where the Series 10 actually shines is the charging speed. It's well increased. In a mere 30 minutes, it can juice up to 80%. In my case, that was even faster. With the basic charger from the box, it's quite impressive. And that's basically enough, so that when you wake up in the morning, you just throw it on the charger, and by the time you're done showering and brushing your teeth, it's already charged and you've already get the battery life for the entire day. Versus the Apple Watch Ultra takes about an hour to get the same 80%, but it does last twice as long, so just take all of that into consideration. Now talking about the faces for the watch. Both have a bunch of similar faces, and at the same time, both have unique one as well. Here, Watch Ultra 2 has this modular watch face. That's something Series 10 doesn't. And it also changed to a different mode at night, which basically transforms your watch face into a night mode. It'll turn everything red, so while you're using during night, it'll nod the display in color, so will not really distract you. And with the Series 10, you're gonna notice something. You have this cool animation that updates every single second, which you don't get on the Series 9 or the Ultra 2 or SE2, only on the Series 10. In terms of performance, the Series 10 has the new S10 chipset and the Ultra 2 has the last year S9 chipset, which are both processors are extremely fast. It'll give you an incredible performance on both. There's no speed differences at all between the two in terms of real life usage, like opening apps, scrolling, having multiple apps running in the background. And Apple couldn't really describe any practical differences to consumers besides the voice isolation. And on top of that, Apple didn't mention 3nm technology. And frankly, it seems the S10 is basically the same chip as the S9, which was new when it came out to the Series 9 and the Ultra 2. So it did get some minor improvements, but it feels like the same, just rebranded because Apple has the history of doing that. However, Apple mentioned that it has these new algorithms for phone calls so that you can very clearly hear your voice, but it's only with this new S10 chipset. So there's one thing that it does uniquely on the Series 10, which is around the audio. You see, the Ultra 2 actually has 3 microphones inside, and it uses those 3 microphones to essentially cancel out background noise and give you a cleaner kind of voice isolation. The Series 10 though doesn't have 3 microphones, it has just 1 microphone. And instead it uses a more advanced neural engine in the S10 chipset to do all of that voice isolation in the watch itself, and as a result it'll get you a cleaner audio and improved call quality. So the speakers, the Ultra 2 has 2 speakers, while the Series 10 has 1 speaker, a redesigned speaker nonetheless, but just 1 speaker. Both of them can play music on the built-in speaker. By the way, Series 9 couldn't do that. Other than that, playing them side by side with the decibel meter, they both hit around the same maximum volume. And I'll tell you this, the sound is better than on most Android smartphones. So they both sound the same to me in my ears. Maybe there's some tiny technical difference, but real world and from functional standpoint, both of them sound effectively the same. Just 2 different ways of accomplishing that goal. And it's not bad considering how thin the Series 10 is. And they even made the speaker even smaller. It's actually pretty cool. You can just walk around and play music on this. So at the end of the day, we got here both. The 10 is so freaking beautiful, but the Ultra is the Ultra. Both of these look so unique on its own way. And from my perspective, these are 2 very different purpose watches. Let me explain. Firstly, why you should buy a Series 10. If it just fits into your lifestyle better, if you consider yourself a more like a general user, if you're looking for a high quality Apple Watch for daily use, some fitness and health tracking, basic notifications, and if you're looking for aesthetic, classier Apple Watch that one really feels like, you know, a sports watch, the Series 10 will be your watch. Of course, if you don't mind charging it every day, just 30 minutes with the fast charging is a huge bonus, as well as the display is equally as large as the Ultra series. I love the way the Series 10 looks. It is so bananas beautiful and looks very elegant, especially with this combo. Jet black color with slate Milanese loop and this gray great reflection phase. But on the other hand, if you need a no-brainer battery life lasting you 3 days, if you want a better GPS for more accurate navigation, which is especially useful for adventurers or just an athlete, or you're someone that really takes your fitness seriously, if you're looking for a watch that doesn't feel like toyish, that doesn't feel like smartwatchy, and you're looking for a rugged design that is built for you to hit it against rocks and nothing will happen, then the Ultra is gonna suit better for you, no doubt, because it takes the durability to a whole another level compared to this aluminum Series 10. I would buy this only if I was in a budget. Why it's a good choice? Obviously the lower price, a more budget-friendly option. It's also a tiny bit lighter than the titanium model, making it more comfortable for everyday wear. Another benefit of buying the aluminum version means you can upgrade more frequently without feeling the burden of having spent a lot upfront on a previous model. So you're more flexible to upgrade sooner as Apple improves chips, etc. But the downside is it's aluminum case, as well as simple ion X glass on the display, which easily scratch. That's why an aluminum model never an option for me, soft material. And also some people have to buy a titanium one because of a nickel allergy. So the only Series 10 we can compare with the Ultra 2 is the titanium one. That would be an adequate comparison. Series 10 46mm in titanium is about the same price compared to the Ultra 2, with $100 difference in the end, giving us double the battery life, more accurate GPS and brighter screen and other features like action button and emergency siren, etc. So it ends up being a way better decision. It doesn't make sense not to get the Ultra 2 unless you absolutely hate the size and rugged design. For durability, Ultra 2 or Series 10 titanium, obviously Ultra, no questions. But if you're afraid of this black Ultra 2 getting scratched, then take a look at natural titanium Ultra 2. But yeah, on the other hand, I like the Series 10 slim size for more formal wear, very beautiful and elegant. And if money totally doesn't matter, I highly recommend getting the Link bracelet. Once you wear the Link bracelet, you would be amazed how comfortable it is. But hey, with the titanium case, it'll cost you over $1,000. I cannot justify the price, but it's simply outstanding comfort for the steel bracelet. So again, my personal choice between these two, if both titanium, I would pick the Ultra series. I love this design, it's a perfect size for me, it's not that much big, it's not too small. I appreciate a ton of battery life, which the Ultra does a great job of. I especially like this new complete space black combo, looks nuts, just incredible. The key difference to decide for many people is gonna be mainly the overall design and size itself, and of course that battery life. And frankly, I was hoping that at this anniversary 10th year for the Apple Watch, they would show us something truly groundbreaking, but that didn't happen, and according to rumors, they might have just run out of time. So we expect that in 2025 something really interesting awaits us. But for now though, this is a minor update. If you were waiting for Black Watch Ultra, here it is. If you wanted a polished gold slate and natural titanium, welcome. If you're looking for a cheap but not embarrassing Apple Watch, here we go. If you ask me whether you should upgrade from a Series 5, 6 or 7 to this, I wouldn't do that. There's no need for a year-to-year upgrade with the watch. No change in design, same form factor, same old Apple Watch. You can wear any model since Watch Series 4 and you barely could tell the difference from little far away. And also I find a bit disappointing that the Ultra hasn't been updated. Is it worth upgrading from the original Ultra to the Ultra 2? Only if you want black color so bad. Other than that, no noticeable difference. Better spend your money on a gym membership and get some protein and gainer. So with that said, hopefully this video was useful to make a decision for you. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Definitely subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Check the mirror, see the reflection. Ain't nobody quite like me.